we are Dallas bound. Yes, one final week before we get to the actual, it's in the actual Crockett Cup. The tournament has started, but the business end of the Crockett Cup starts next week on NWA. But this week, we wrap up the final first round matches and the buy-in match. And to do that with me, of course, it's Miss Fiona Lockwood. Good evening.
Good evening. How are you?
It's cold all of a sudden again in the UK.
Oh, welcome to my world.
Yeah, I know Scotland's permanently cold. I mean, but it's weird. Although I did just have an ice lolly, which probably didn't help, but it's one of those sour ones.
Probably not.
It's a sour twister. You can get other twisters
I
flavor.
have not tried the sour twister yet. I am quite fond of a twister ice lolly though.
They are very good. The sour ones are quite, you do get the sour kick onto it as well at some point.
I'll see now I want to go and try one.
So go and get
Hmm,
yourself
okay.
like Food Warehouse for anyone interested. Go and get. Yeah, I'm sure you're not, because if you're listening to this program, you'll be listening to wrestling and you want us to talk NWA. So let's get on with it. The cold open again, it never ceases to disappoint. This week was just about the majority of the teams that are in the Crockett Cup.
Yeah.
It was so good. It was Country Gentlemen, it was Knox Murdoch, BFT, 7-6, Immortals, Miserably Faithful. But it's just it always is a great way. And this time it really set the stage for the Crockett Cup.
I love it. I love the cold opens because it's your foreword in a book, for example, is going to tell you what's happening and what's coming up. It did get me a little bit. I was like, oh, it's Crockett Cup time. So
You love the Crockett.
yeah, yeah, it should be. Yeah, it was good this week. I'm kind of with you now. I quite like not having the voiceovers.
Yeah.
I know they started out with the voiceovers, and not that Joe didn't do a good job of them. But I quite like not having the voiceovers and letting the wrestlers speak for themselves.
Yes, definitely. I enjoyed that. I thought it was a well, I've been thinking they're good for weeks, but yeah, it's been good even when Joe, as you say, even when Joe done the voiceovers, they were good. But
Absolutely.
I just think it adds a bit more the personal side of it, when they're talking about their
Yeah,
matches.
very much so.
And it done really well. And this week, no Billy on commentary. We must admit, he's actually
No, but you did see him sitting ringside. If you clocked it early doors, he was sitting ringside watching.
eagle-eyed viewers would have seen that, like you and myself. I did notice that, but Billy is over here in the UK at the moment doing
Yes, indeed.
Smashing Pumpkins. So why you didn't bring Power over here, Billy, I don't know, but nevertheless,
Disappointing. No comment. I did
disappointing.
try a long time ago when I heard they were coming. I was like, Joe, sort it
Sort it
out.
out, indeed. So Joe and Danny this week at the buy. So the buy-in started, and the reason why the buy-in started this is because the winners of this will be in the main event later on, with an unenviable task. The winners of the first match between the Spectaculars and Michael Lando and Cheese would be going against Blunt Force Trauma.
I did not envy either of those two teams. That's a big ask for anyone to have a tag match and then in the same evening go on against Blunt Force Trauma. That's a huge ask.
Indeed, it was. What a great way! I tell you what I liked about this. There's so many things actually I liked about this tag match. There was the comedy side, which we'll get into in a minute. But I tell you what, that Spencer Slade. Every single time I see this kid, he is getting better and better and
He's
better.
so impressive. He looked brilliant, like so talented.
It was so crisp. Some of those Germans, they're literally crisp. There was nothing out of place when he done it. And even Brady was looking good in some of this as well,
Yeah,
I have to say. But Spencer just he stands out because he's so good. And there is that I want to see him more singly against, I don't know, someone like maybe like a Colby Carino, who we haven't seen in a while.
I know. Come back, Colby.
Yeah, I know I
But
think he's
yeah,
up
I
there
think I
already.
think that would be good. Seeing him in a more sort of kind of pure wrestling sort of context
Absolutely.
would be phenomenal.
Absolutely. Because as I said, he was incredible in this one. It was a great
I'd like
tag.
to see him go against Tom actually as well.
Ooh, be interesting. Heavy hitting. That's for sure.
Yeah,
He's not exactly a
but
soft.
Tom's more technical than people give him credit for.
Is he?
So
He certainly is. That would be an interesting match for sure. But I put this down as a coupon buster to a degree because obviously the Spectaculars are, well, they're a new tag team, but the Spectaculars in general have been around NWA for a while. Orlando and Cheese, however, wasn't, but it's the aforementioned Cheese that cost the Spectaculars the match. So to set the scene, there was cheese being thrown. I think it was at Brady.
There's always cheese being thrown.
True, there is. That was being thrown at Brady, and I believe he tried to hook cheese up and then slipped on the cheese.
Slipped on the cheese because, of course, you did.
It was like a cartoon, wasn't it? He slipped on the cheese. Cheese landed on top of him and got the pin.
Got the pin. Not gonna lie, and I told you this before we came on air. I did kind of pop for that. I was like, oh, like that was not the result I was expecting to see. So, well done to Cheese and Mike Orlando, basically.
Yes, well done, but at the same time, commiserations because your
Yeah,
reward for that was the main
you're in
event.
for a tough one, boys.
Was the main event against Blunt Force Trauma, which I wouldn't have wanted to be in anyway. But before we got there, they did have a chat with Carl. Must say this week, and I've criticised it for the last few weeks. It was nice that the talking was better for this week. You know, the actual backs, not essentially backstage, but at the ring stuff. I felt as if it had more meaning to it this week. Obviously, it's always good when you get a certain somebody on the mic, which we'll hear from in a minute. But yeah, a lot better this week, in my opinion.
Yeah,
They were saying that they were no joke and they're here to win. The
fair play to them. You need to have that positivity. You need to have that belief, don't you? Because if you don't have that, then what's the point?
exactly that for sure. And they were going on to the main event, which we'll get to in a minute against them.
I just like to just on the slip heard around the world. I don't think Brady Pierce is going to be too chuffed about that. I'm not sure if it was heard around the world, but I popped for that as well. Thought that was quite funny.
I tried not to say that, but yes, yes, yeah. You know, if you're watching Brady, that was nothing to do with me. Yeah.
Yeah, throw me under the bus. Okay, that's fine.
Throw you under the bus for that one, indeed. We got back to from the well, not commercial, but we went back down to ringside. Now I've got to get it back down to ringside. Where's Thingy anyway? What's her name? May. Was it May?
Yeah, I don't know where May's been lately.
Me
Kind of
either.
miss her. It'd be quite nice to have her back.
Yeah, and not that there's anything wrong with Carl, of course, but you know.
Oh, of course not. Of course not.
But it's just we're not so used to seeing her backstage, although again, there isn't a backstage. This was at ringside. La Rosa Negra was with Rufy J, and also there was Ella Envy and Sam Starr.
Miss Star to you.
Miss Star to me, yeah. If we ever, yes, just in case they would get her on, yeah, Miss Star. Um, she was saying that how she's interchangeable and how she can be a wrestler
Hmm.
and be a manager. I did pop. You talk about popping. I did pop during when Ella was trying to talk and someone shouted something out and she went, "Shut up!" and all you heard was "Make me." That did crack me up watching that.
She was sassy, was our Ella.
She was.
Very sassy.
She was now, no, but she's gotten ready to face Kenzie Page, of course, the Crockett Cup. But the
But
Rosa
it's the
Negra
Ella era. It
is
was the pretty era, and now it's the Ella era. Era, error,
Ella
era,
Mora.
Ella era.
That's
Yeah.
one of those
That's
tongue
hard to
twisters.
say when you're Scottish.
I was gonna say it's a tongue twister, isn't it? It's one of those ones that you wouldn't want to try to keep saying because it was like, eight apes, eight apples, and you'd get into try to, yeah.
Just don't even, yeah, let's not go there.
Exactly. Rufy and La Rosa were there, and obviously they've got a tag match next week now. Which is on the cards for next week, and the
With
winners,
Rekha Tahaka and
yes,
Tiffany Nieves.
indeed, with the
And
winners.
potentially, if they win again, same thing has happened to Cheese in Orlando, straight into it's for the number one contendership, which will be on the same night. Well, so
Well,
against the King Bees.
yeah, the same night, but it isn't actually on next week. I've got the three matches written
Yeah,
for next week, um,
I
unless
know.
it's a
And
fourth.
this is the downside of things being taped on a kind of weekly basis or taped and then put out into segments instead of just running as a whole show. Still a
Indeed,
bugbear.
it is a little
Sorry.
bugbear. I mean, unless they have four matches, it'd be unheard. I don't think I've ever seen four matches in Power in quite some time, if ever. I don't recall, but there could be a fourth match. on Powerr. Who knows? We'd have to wait and see. One of them would have to be quite quick if it is.
Mm.
Nevertheless, we'll find out. But they were looking forward to their match next week in the number one contenders match. But back to the Crockett Cup. And my goodness me, the term heavy hitting goes on to another level with this. You've got the
I was excited for this one.
Yeah, I was looking for the moment I saw it flash up that they were next. I was like, right, here we go. The Fixers LLC, of course, can't forget the LLC.
Ranked seeded number 8th.
Number 8 against Max and Judias, seeded number
9.
Thank you. This was an absolute slugfest, wasn't it?
This was as hard hitting and full on as I expected it to be honest with you. I think Judice and Max are a pretty terrifying looking tag team. I think I would be quite scared standing in the ring, eyeballing them across the corner.
Yeah.
But Legursky and
name.
Jay Bradley, sorry, Jay. Legursky and Jay Bradley are not small gentlemen. They're not, yeah, they're not going to back down from a challenge. So they were well up for the cup for that one.
Oh, they were. They know what they did do, and I must admit, I was quite surprised because they controlled quite a lot of sort of like the mid to end of this match.
Yeah.
And they done the
that quite, I was a little bit surprised by that. They really kind of took it to Max and Judice.
Yeah, they did. And they did they also they done this classic old school tag team. I haven't seen one, would cut the ring in half. They literally had Max, I think it was Max, I can't remember. But they literally had one of them isolated for a good portion. It might well have been Max actually, for a big portion of this match. I mean, obviously they're no slouches. I mean, Judias is what, 7 foot?
He's huge.
He's a big old boy. And they were throwing him around like they were nothing. They were throwing Max around like Max was nothing, and Max was throwing them around like they were nothing. And they were like, it was just an incredible. I loved it. I thought this was my match.
I enjoyed it.
This was my match of the night. I thought this was brilliant, and they're deceiving as well because Max is quick for someone that's not saying that Max has got a size to her, but she's quick. The non-binary nightmare. She's got a lot of pace in there. Even Legursky isn't exactly slow.
Legursky's very deceptive. Legursky's one of these kind of wrestlers that you think would potentially be quite slow and methodical. He's absolutely not.
No. And he's the one that's coming to get EC3 soon, right? From last week, was it?
He's got a championship match against EC3. I'm still not entirely sure how he got that
or when
opportunity. But fair play to go for it.
But he's got EC3's got Sam Adonis, right? That's Crockett Cup?
EC3 has Sam Adonis at the Crcokett Cup. Yeah.
So when is this Legursky match happening?
I have no idea. No idea.
We'll see if they was one of those things that they just forget about, when they say something and then
Who knows?
Seen it before in wrestling, wouldn't be the first time, won't be the last. But Max and Judias, so there was a bit there. There was a missed elbow off the top rope. There was a big ass spear by Max and a big choke slam from Judias that picks up the victory, and they go on to the Crockett Cup. So we sort of say the Crockett Cup proper, I think is the quite what. Right. They're going to be a force, aren't they?
Yeah, so that puts them, now if I look at that puts them up against the Immortals in the next round.
Yes.
So Max and Judias versus the Immortals is a match that actually really quite excites me.
That's just going to be another absolute fight, isn't it? That one.
Yeah.
It's going to be a crazy fight. I'm looking forward to that.
Me too.
Yeah. Again, Carl was at the back. Carl was outside. Matt, and this time, Father James Mitchell. Sometimes when he talks, you listen. And he was saying about there's a destiny to fulfill. There's going to be blood on their hands, and ultimately they're going to win the Crockett Cup. Was the
Who knows? We will find out in about 6 weeks' time, probably.
6 weeks' time.
No, maybe not 6 weeks, but you know what I mean. It's going to be a couple of weeks.
It will be a good few weeks before we find out. We're only on round 2 next week, so we'll have to. We've got a good few weeks, but it's interesting. Well, it's back for a 3rd week in a row.
I've got a funny feeling this is actually a thing now.
Well, it had a big entrance now, doesn't it, at the start? Cooking with Carson. was back this week.
Cooking with Carson and the Spectaculars, Rolando and Joe Alonso.
of all people to have. Cracking
Knuckle
egg.
sandwiches, anyone?
Yeah, knuckle sandwiches. There was, well, they said it was noodles, but it was pasta. It was pasta. Cracking eggs, pretending to cook noodles. But the whole thing for this, what done this for me, Spencer Slade. Throughout the whole of this skit, where everyone is just being, jokey and silly, he is just standing there like a
Just
statue,
deadpan.
deadpan.
Completely deadpan. Like no reactions, no nothing.
There was a bit where Carlton was trying to feed him this uncooked pasta with an egg in it. I think it was in a roll or whatever it was, and he was still
Just
deadpan.
having none of it.
Just,
I'm not playing.
and he did get asked to kiss the cook. You're all right. It was kiss the cook, um, which he didn't do. They didn't say if it's back next week though, and I think it's because it's the actual Crockett Cup. They're in You're in Dallas, so whether
Yeah.
or not this is the last we see of the Crockett,
Maybe Chef Carson will be in the ring. Who knows?
maybe he does. Funnily enough, at one of the territories, have a title shot against EC3. He actually pinned EC3 at one of the territories shows, and has now got
Ooh.
the title shot. I think it's maybe as early as this weekend. I can't for the life. I don't. It might be Exodus. It might be Exodus Pro because I know it's EC3's. Well, I can't quite
Mhm.
remember for sure where it is, but he does have a title shot against EC3
Ooh, interesting.
incoming. Very interesting. Now I said earlier on that when someone sort of, when somebody gets on the microphone, it is probably the best. This week, it was Vampiro again with Daisy Kill and Talos and whatever the hell that was next to Vampiro.
Alex Misery.
Oh, it was Misery, wasn't it? Of course it was.
Yeah.
I was thinking to
But he
myself,
was just like really hunched over and just like with his hair, he was like this, so
it
you
was
couldn't
like a
really.
zombie, and I was thinking, oh, okay, Vampiro's got a friend. Didn't clock if it was Misery.
Yeah, no, it was Alex Misery.
They were still trying to get to the bottom of what Vampiro was doing, but he did say he wants to rip out Carl Davis's tongue.
No, Kyle's just not there yet. He's not on the right level. He just doesn't understand. So mentally, he's not there, and Vampiro's not willing to explain it to him until he is.
Exactly that. We did get a song,
Don't
which
do that again, Daisy.
Vampiro is the hero, is our hero. I didn't write the rest down. Uh, it,
I didn't either, but I'm pretty sure after that and Vampiro's response to it, I don't think Daisy will be singing about Vampiro again somehow.
well, he did ask Vampiro to sing, and that's probably not the wisest
That
move
probably wasn't a wise move.
for Daisy Kill. They're just trying to get to the bottom of what is going on, which we didn't really get to the bottom of because Daisy said
And I don't think we will for a while, to be fair.
there's still this Mark over situation. That's kind of died. I won't say died a little bit, but that's died down a bit recently. And I don't know. It's all up in the air, but it's all quite fun.
It is.
That song, just try and listen to the song. Should have wrote it down because it was a
I'm
song.
sure there'll be clips of it somewhere.
It will be on the NWA. Will tweet it out at some point. They have to. It was brilliant. And before we get to the main event, I just want to say they did announce Samhain 2.
I know, October 26th at Robarts in Sarasota. That's exciting. I'm very much of the opinion that a trip to Florida in October would be marvelous.
I'm sure it would be. Sarah said that. Is it back to? Oh, say back to
It's
Roebuck.
at yeah, so it's at Robarts Arena in
Brilliant.
Sarasota.
What a great venue as well.
Yeah.
That should be. I mean, I loved it last year. I know it was a bit of they had a bit of controversy. The only
That's it. It's the most talked about live event that they've done. So
so
it'll be interesting. I'm pretty sure they'll want to top it, but how are they going to top it? Because it was the controversy last year that was the kind of big talking point.
yeah, it was.
So yeah, I am really, really intrigued to see what they're going to do with that. Yeah, it could be fun. Could be a lot of fun.
I'm looking forward to it. The only, and again, this goes back to what we were saying about even like the Crockett Cup and stuff. I would enjoy it more if it was a one event, one and like a 3 hour show,
Yeah.
rather than
I
having to.
really, I really do miss the big events
Mm.
because they lose the grandeur for me, they lose the excitement for me, and it is just like watching an episode of Power, but it's taped at a nicer place with a
Yeah.
bigger audience.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So I really miss the whole, it was an event. It started at 1 o'clock in the morning. I'd go for a nap at 8 for an hour. I'd get up, I'd have my snacks. I'd sit with my little notepad and we'd take notes and whatever. We'd chat back and forward and we'd watch it. And I'd speak to people on the other side of the world who are watching it live, but it was at like a sensible time at night for them and things like that. And it was a huge kind of, it was a huge event. And now I'm just kind of like, it's a show.
Yeah. It's gonna be the same as 76.
Yeah, which is a bummer really, because you know that they're gonna pull out some big guns for that because they always do.
Yeah. Yeah.
They always do.
I'm gonna
So
miss that. I'm gonna miss that. But even if they just had 76 as its own standalone show, would have been.
yeah, it would be nice. And I think they've taped so much content that it would be nice to go back to maybe even a couple a year. They don't have to do every single one as a live show, but
Yeah.
even the big ones, so like 76 and like the Crockett Cup, and just have them as a one-off event where I would happily pay to a pay-per-view fee and watch it.
We pay for
So
VPNs now, so why not?
I
Why
know.
not, right? Exactly. But I'm looking forward to Samhain. Anyway, I can say it now as well, which is
Well done. It's
I
only
know.
taken you almost a year.
Yeah, literally. I think I called it Samhain at first instead of Samhain. But yeah, looking forward to that coming back. Main event time now, which as we all said when we spoke earlier, Cheese and Orlando got given the unenviable task of the number one seed, right? Am I right? They are number
Number one seeds.
yeah.
Yep.
It was number one versus number 16 seed in the Crockett Cup. And I'll tell you what, really competitive though, main event.
It caught me off guard. I'm not going to pretend it didn't.
Yeah, I
They
thought
held their own for a little while.
they certainly did. And it only really, I mean, there was no real interference from Stevens, which I kind of enjoyed because, but BFT can't, without being disrespectful to Cheese Orlando, they shouldn't need too much or none interference from
Yeah.
Stevens to beat them. No disrespect again, no disrespect to them, but they shouldn't have done, and they didn't, which was nice. The only bit that come near the end was when they tried to do the cheese again. Cheese tried to get cheese and was foiled
It
in
didn't work, did it? Not this
damage.
time.
Damage put pay to that, and then they done the side slam elbow drop combo, which is I'm sure that was Demolition's old move, back in the day.
Was it?
Pretty sure it was something along. I'll have to have a look now. I'm sure Demolition done something like that back in the day. Maybe not been a finisher, but I'm sure they done that as a.
I don't remember.
I can't remember. I'll have to go back through the archive. Wouldn't surprise me though, because NWA do like the old finishes and
They
bits
do.
like
They
that,
do.
which is what differentiates it from other companies as well. That, and as we've already said, a massive golfing like roster characters and stuff like that, which was always good. They did get on the mic at the end, and Aaron did.
The mayor of Debonair is on the air.
Yes, the mayor of Debonair is on the air, and he will probably be on this air in about 3 weeks' time. um,
That'll be fun.
we should be speaking to Aaron Stevens right at the end of June. So Crockett Cup they should have had their next round by then, with any luck. I'm thinking around the 27th. We may be speaking to the mayor of Debonair. We can have our blunt force trauma off, like I've always wanted to.
I don't think you won that one. I'm sorry.
I think I'll beat Aaron Stevens. Don't worry about
Good luck.
it. But yeah,
That was a particularly strong one that he did on this episode.
that went on for a while, didn't it?
It did go on for a very long time.
I'll have to get the vocal cords ready for that. I think, yeah, that was quite. I did notice that. I was like, oh, okay, maybe.
Yeah, you're gonna need practice, mate.
In fact, I've got 3 weeks to practice. Yes, so we should be speaking to Aaron in about 3 weeks' time, which will be great fun. We're going to get into your schedule in a minute, Fee, but my God, this Talking Territory series is
Taking
really,
off.
wow, is really taking off. So This week, I'm going to be speaking to Jaden Newman, and I'm going to be speaking to Sam Bill. He was former TNA roster member. Next week, we have, wait a second, because I've got more interviews, but then the one I announced today was Anthony Katana from NWA Chicago. That's next
That'll be
Tuesday,
good.
this time next week, near this time next week, give or take. Then we got the Man of the Year Ashton Day on Wednesday. And that's about it at the minute. We've also had Casey Kazana that'll be going out Thursday, which was a fun one that we recorded last week.
Yeah, it was good.
Casey was a bundle of fun for us. Obviously, Kamaro Jackson went out last week as well. Don't know how he got on actually with the title. Should have had a look. But yeah, the Talking Territory series is kicking off, and we could be getting some more on the way soon. We're just again,
It's exciting though because it's a lot of
yeah,
people that I don't know. So it's nice to
exactly,
learn about them. It's nice to learn about their promotions and things like that and see what
exactly.
their kind of aspirations on the NWA are. So that's kind of cool.
Exactly. And then to top all that, Aaron Stevens rounds off the month,
It's exciting.
which will be a really fun one. Aaron Stevens, looking forward to having Aaron on. There's a couple that we're nearly announced, but not quite. Not NWO related, but a big thank you to AEW. Yesterday, at the time of recording, it was yesterday. Myself and Dave sat down with the Murder Hawk Monster Lance Archer from AEW to talk all things All In. It's fantastic. Great going. And again, thanks to AEW for that. I'm going to do my interviews and then I'll let you finish with what you've got going on because
No, it's fine. Go for it.
I've started to now finish, as they say in Mastermind. I've got a collaboration on next week as well with the Ringside Renaissance team over in the States. So we're going to be talking all things, funny enough, Clash at the Castle, which is going to happen in your wee country of Bonnie, Scotland.
My wee city, never mind my wee
Yeah,
country.
your wee city. So after the commiserations of being thumped by Germany in the Euros on Friday,
Okay.
you'll be able to. Well, you probably won't be able to watch SmackDowns. I think that's on around the same time. But you'll be able to commiserate by watching Clash at the Castle on Saturday. You can cry in your
Pizza
tears.
party at mine.
Party at Fee's. Anyone that knows where Fee lives, just gonna. Anyway, I've got the Ringside Renaissance crew on Monday. I'm going to move swiftly on before I get in trouble. And then on next week, I'm also going to be interviewing probably one of the best British cruiserweights, or he calls himself the king of the cruiserweights. Anyway, that's Robbie X. Will be finally talking to Robbie X. It's only taken a year, Robbie.
He's a good lad.
He's a great lad. And then it's something really small, my birthday, next week. So I'm going to be taking at least a day off podcasting next Thursday. Content will still be out.
Where's Rachel taking you?
Well, we're going to Riley Sports Day. What a way to spend a 40th watching my son with an egg and spoon race. But no, we are going out for a steak dinner. It's England as well. England played Denmark on that day. As well. So
Don't drag her to the pub.
I'm not going. I'll be going to. We're going to a steakhouse. So that'll be what we're doing instead of watching England play. Next day I've got a spa day, so I'm going to be.
Ooh.
Check out me. What a way to reel in 40. Spa day the next day. So yeah, busy for me on both fronts. And what about you, Fee, and your diet?
What's been going on? Well, Saturday was a whole new experience for me. We had a W3L show. It was the annual resolution show in an ice rink, which was quite literally cool. It was one of the best setups though. It had the Titantron, the big screens right in the middle of the rink. So we had the ring set up right underneath it, so it looked brilliant. We had a steel cage match. I've never been inside a ring with a steel cage.
I saw that.
So that was a new one for me to go into the steel cage, which is quite daunting actually when you go in for the first time. And I was doing okay until I started to announce the first opponent in the match, and then realised who it was, and realised the penny drop that I was going to be in a steel cage with this person.
Who was it?
Who I don't particularly we don't have a very good relationship in the ring. So let's just say that.
Okay.
And known as the Blood Tourist, looking sharp, bit of a maniac. usually to be found with a kendo stick in his hand, which usually about 90% of the time winds up being on my neck or on my chest or on my stomach, and
Oh dear.
me pinned to the ring post. And true to form, that's exactly what happened. It was a case of give me the mic, bitch. And I'm like, okay. And then he's the kendo stick held out like literally right here. And I'm
Oh.
like pinned against the ring post until he decided he was finished having a rant at me and the fans and everyone else involved. Um, he terrifies me.
Did he win?
Not gonna lie, he terrifies it. So what's that?
Did he win?
No, he didn't.
Oh, good.
That's unfortunate. No, Mike Musso kicked his ass basically.
Good.
So Mike won that one. So that was Saturday. That was interesting. But yeah, a bit of a bucket list one for me to be in a cage match, involved with a cage match, which is kind of cool. It's the first time I've done that. So tomorrow I'm at Armadale Gala Day or Gala Evening. They're kicking off their gala show with PBW. Friday night I am going to SmackDown with one of my sons, so
Hey,
that'll be fun. So I'm going to SmackDown.
wicked.
On Saturday I have another gala show. Can't remember where. I'll probably find out on Saturday morning when I go, oh, what's the address? Somewhere, I don't know where, but it's another PBW show. Saturday night, obviously, Clash. I'll sit and watch that, have a pizza party in the house. Sunday in the Grand Ole Opry in Glasgow, there is a show between, let me get this right, Valor, Bleeding Gums, and W3L, the three promotions. So obviously, I work for W3L. We're running a show in the Grand Ole Opry in Glasgow, which could be very interesting indeed. I haven't really seen the card or the lineups, but I think it'll be a belter. Also, ICW are running late night post
Midnight, isn't
Clash at the
it?
Yep. So after SmackDown and after Clash at the Castle, ICW are running shows. Um, I did see a post earlier on that night two had already sold out and night one only had like 4 tickets left.
Wow.
So that should be really, really interesting. So that's this weekend covered. Next Friday, W3L are on the march to Newcastle. So
Ooh.
we're going down to Newcastle for the day. We have a show there. I believe I can't remember the name of the show, but it's very heavy on ladder matches and a ladder match tournament, I believe.
That's a
Um,
match tournament.
mhm. So
Wicked.
that could be interesting. That'll be fun being in the ring with all of them. So that's that. And then where are we? We're kind of into July after that, and then holidays and more shows and Inside the Ropes coming up on the 13th and no
12th.
12th and 15th, 12th and 15th with Elijah on London on the 12th and Glasgow on the 15th.
Elias for everybody that watches WWE.
Sorry, yeah,
Elias is his
Elijah.
other name.
Elijah stroke Elias. Inside the Ropes, itrtix.com for tickets for that. And there's probably a whole host of stuff in between, but I'm still recovering from the shock of the kendo stick on Saturday. So,
Well, quickly before we go, I'm going to run off the upcoming dates for the territories that have got coming up. On the 14th of June, NWA Southeast, Jokers and Promotions are going to be in the Megas North Elementary School. That will be with Aaron Stevens, Silas Mason, and Casey Kazana, headlining that one. 21st of June, it's FTW versus NWA in Lake City, Florida, with Tom Latimer, Brian Idol, Mark Over, and AJ Francis returning for that one. So it should be quite a good one.
nice.
On the 22nd of June, NWA Exodus in Cleveland, Ohio, with EC3, Tiffany Nieves, Aaron Stevens, and Carsten Drake. That will be the one that I was talking about earlier. With Carsten getting the title shot. NWA Chicago on the 28th of June. Junior heavyweight champion Joe Alonzo will be there, along with Tiffany again, Tiffany Nieves, Mark Over, Idol, Daisy Kill as well, mate, and probably the guitar, whatever he is he plays. I'm not quite sure what it is, but I'm sure he plays it. The Page Sisters, NWA Crossfire in Newport, Tennessee, and the National Guard Armory, of course, Kenzie and Kylie will be there. That's a silly question. Jackson Drake, Terry Yaka, Hunter Drake, Sean Hoodrick, and more. And then it all leads up to NWA 76, but that's in August. But that is the territories rundown till June. So we got they're all
Lots going on.
lots going on, lots coming on here as well. And I have to quickly plug Buckle Up 2024, July 14th, 42 tickets left now. So go and get them. 96 Eventbrite, type in Buckle Up on in there, and you'll get one of the remaining 46 tickets to come and see a lot of good action. I will run down the card at a later date when it's confirmed. We've still got one more match that we have not confirmed, and it's going to be an interesting one, to say the least. But this has been the NWA Powerr Review on the Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast. She has been Miss Fiona Loughran. I have been your host, Adam Cousins. And until we're back next week with some more Powerr, buckle down, stay safe, and good night.